This is your monthly roundup of what's been happening in the watch world. Quite a bit has been going on, not a huge amount, but a few interesting points. But I'm going to start with something that made me feel a bit old. The Grammys happened last month, and as you can imagine, there are a whole lot of watches on people's wrists. But there weren't many people who I recognise the name of. But the ones that stood out I thought were quite interesting. I'll start off with a really big one, Jay-Z, who has an insane watch collection. He was wearing a Piece Unique Patek Philippe Minute Repeater Retrograde Perpetual Calendar. This is a rose gold reference 5304. Not my kind of thing, but a pretty epic piece nonetheless. A bit more of my thing, and much more of my music, Chad Smith from the Red Hot Chili Peppers was wearing a Platinum Daytona, my favourite version. Now, Will Smith needs a bit of a plum. Not a bit, he is a plum, but the watch that was on his wrist was quite interesting. He was wearing a vintage Universal Genève pole router, but the interesting thing about this, it was sourced by one of the legends within our community, Eric Wind. So although Will Smith isn't cool anymore, that watch is, that's pretty cool. Now for someone who is cool and a watch that's cool, not a massive fan of the colorway, but a big fan of the band, Billy Joe Armstrong was wearing an Omega Aquaterra. It was a two-tone version with this deep red dial. There are loads of other people who had no idea who they are with lots of crazy watches, but these are the guys who really stood out to me. Bit of a shout out to an awesome bit of content. It's been doing the rounds in the community. If you're in WhatsApp groups and follow lots of watch people on Instagram, you've probably heard of this already. But the business podcast Acquired did a 5-hour-long episode into Rolex. It's a great podcast as it is, but these guys do massive deep dives. They do a huge amount of research into brands and companies. The stories that they have really are amazing. I'll put a link in the description down below. It's fascinating. Another little thing, at the Bahrain F1 circuit, Tag Heuer adverts are now popping up because they've kind of taken over the show because they are now the official sponsor of the F1. But the adverts are showing a vintage version of their Formula One watch. And it wouldn't make any sense for them to advertise a watch that they no longer sell. So does this mean that Tag Heuer are going to be bringing back or relaunching the retro version of the Formula One? I'd absolutely love it if they were able to do this in a very affordable way, kind of like Swatch and Omega doing the MoonSwatch. Talking about Omega, let's move on to the new watches and see what has been launched, or rather the standout watches that have been launched, and start off with this new Omega Seamaster. This is their new no-date bronze gold. We've got a matte black dial and a burgundy bezel, and this is a watch that was teased on Daniel Craig's wrist. And this seems to be their way of launching watches, certainly Seamasters. They'll tease it on Daniel Craig's wrist and then a few months later launch it. This is Omega's own bronze gold. It's 50% copper, 37.5% gold, and then it's also mixed with palladium and silver. This bronze mix gives the gold a really warm hue, but it will patina. Although the mix means that it's going to patina very slowly, it will eventually patina. The price is interesting on this thing. It's going to cost £26,000, which is an epic amount of money. But when compared to Omega's other gold Seamasters, the Sedna Gold and the Moonshine Gold, they both cost £27,000, but they come on a rubber strap. So that price difference really is absolutely massive. I haven't seen this watch in person, but if you have, I'd love to hear your thoughts on what you think about this colorway and what you think about the gold itself. It's been 60 years since the Omega Speedmaster was chosen to be the tool that is going to be used by NASA's astronauts in space. And to celebrate this 60th anniversary, Omega and Swatch have launched a new MoonSwatch. They've done an interesting launch as part of this. They're kind of becoming rebels, perhaps, within the watch world. They've launched a homage to the Rolex chronograph that was put forward to be part of the testing. Ultimately, Omega won. But it's interesting that Omega chose to create this homage as part of their marketing campaign. I find it frustrating because I feel like Omega and Swatch, they seem to be making better and better looking MoonSwatches. I've got quite a few of them now, and they're not great watches. They're fun. This is an absolutely stunning version, and I'd love to see this in full metal, perhaps bead blasted metal, to give it that very matte look. There's a couple of Easter eggs on this. The subdials have 19 on one side, 65 on the other, to represent 1965, the year that this watch was chosen. And then down in the lower subdial, it has 60 to represent the 60th anniversary. Next up we have Bamford. This was actually launched right at the end of January, but I'd already recorded my monthly roundup then, so I'm gonna have to include it in this. This is the D300. It's a ceramic case with a titanium core. This is a beast of a watch. I've got hands on down in London, and it's an insane amount of watch for the money. We've got a 42mm wide ceramic case. It's 13mm thick. It's got 22mm lugs. It's got a screw down crown, and it has a water resistance of 300 meters. And it comes in 4 colorways. We've got white, black, green, and my favorite is a blue with these little yellow accents. This watch sells for £1,800, which seems like a crazy price for an automatic ceramic watch with 300 meters of water resistance. And shout out to George and the team, because the press images and the assets that these guys captured for the social media is fantastic. Watch brands need to be doing more stuff like this when it comes to launching diver watches. No longer the fashion stuff. I want to see the watch doing it. Lastly, another anniversary is Audemars Piguet. They're celebrating 150 years, which is absolutely wild. So few brands can celebrate this, but to do that, they've launched a whole load of watches, but the one that really stands out is this new Royal Oak. This is an open work perpetual calendar, which isn't new, but the fact this is in Royal Oak and it is 9.9mm thick is absolutely wild. The other standout piece from the Audemars Piguet launch is this stunning, absolutely wild pocket watch. This is going to weigh an absolute ton. I'd love to see the person who would buy something like this and what they'd wear. They'd have to have some sort of reinforced pocket to have this thing in. Or I can imagine just sitting on a desk or something. A very expensive paperweight. Guys, have I missed anything? What have been the standout watches that have been launched for you this month? Drop a little comment down below and let me know your thoughts. If you like this video, hit that thumbs up button. If you like stylist video, then hit the subscribe button down there and that little bell icon so you get notifications when I drop a new video. If you're on Instagram, give me a follow at BarkandJack. If you want to check out the watch straps and watch accessories at sale, then jump over to barkandjack.com and check out what we have over there. A whole host of single piece nylon straps, which were previously known as something else, but I can't call them that. And we've also got leather straps, and we've got a sale on as well, and that sale's going to end really very soon. So jump over to barkandjack.com and check out the stuff that we have over there. And I think that's it. I'll see you guys very soon. Take care.